And there was a, I don't know, there's a boat coming. And then there was a croc.
Oh, the shoe.
The shoe floating down. Oh, there was a shoe floating down the river, and it was like not distracting.
Snap.
It was distracting.
It was a croc.
It was a shoe. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Hit that subscribe button and leave a comment. It helps with our algorithms for YouTube. We've got a wealth of information to share, and we want to get as many people that can see it as possible. So make sure that you do hit that notification, subscribe and like button. So let's get right into it. How did you start? How did you get into gardening?
I got in gardening through school. We did work experience about 4 years into high school. You get to go outside of school and do some work experience, and I did mine at a local nursery for 2 weeks. I really enjoyed it and found out they do apprenticeships. So.
And why then? So somehow you got into gardening when you started with nursery work.
Yeah, so it sort of kicked off the interest, and then I found out about apprenticeships or trades that you could be educated into gardening. So I found out how to do that, and at the end of that year at school, I applied at our local government to see if I could do an apprenticeship through them, and I was fortunate enough to be successful, and that's sort of haven't looked back from there.
Okay, so, and you've been gardening now for
30 odd years, so about 32 years.
About 32 years.
Yep.
Let's not be specific. So what is an apprenticeship?
An apprenticeship's it educates you into all aspects of horticulture, or gardening, anywhere from a little. See, with the one I did was a certificate 3 in gardening, and so it educates you in all aspects. So you do a little bit of nursery education, so propagation, pricking out, stuff like that, grafting, potting up, all of those sort of things. Then you do things like, you even touch onto like greenkeeping, a little bit of turf wickets, paving, so you do like a bit of landscaping, and then just general gardening. I remember learning how to drive a tractor, like reverse a tractor with a trailer on it through a water course, and I was only 15 when I started, so I didn't even know how to drive a car. Just things like that. So you sort of touch all aspects of gardening, you don't highlight one. So I think that they had apprenticeships at our school that were just landscaping, that literally did landscaping or just greenkeeping. Again, that was more on turf and golf courses and stuff, but I did the broad scale one, which covered smaller aspects of each subject, I suppose, as well as plant identification, identifying pest and disease, things like that.
So the gardening apprenticeship encompassed the nursery trade, the landscaping trade, the greenkeeping trade.
Jim's mowing, or something to that effect, a mowing round. You know, some people even go out and do that off a gardening apprenticeship.
Jim's Mowing is a
franchise,
a gardening franchise. So yeah. All right, so that explains a little bit about the apprenticeship. But businesses hire apprentices because it's cheaper. So you get paid, I think it was paid roughly around $5 an hour when we first started.
Big money.
Not handing out loans, that's for sure. So yeah, so many years ago, starting out, so your first year is generally the lowest earning year, and then your 4th year is the highest. So as the years go on, you get more money. Not still a huge amount, but more than the first year. So it's a way that you, while you're learning, it doesn't cost your employer a huge amount of money.
Can you do it as an adult where you earn a higher wage?
Yeah, so they have adult traineeships, different to apprenticeships.
Okay. I had a guy in my trade school that was an adult apprentice, so he was in his 40s. So he was sort of a late starter into horticulture.
Yeah, the pay scheme was different, or is different for the adults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, both of them are here, so.
So what is trade school? It's a place where you go to learn your trade. And how it works is that depending on where you live, how far away from your school you live, you might go 1 day a week, or you might go for blocks. So you might go in 1 week blocks. Generally it's about 40 days approximately a year that you go for, and you do that for 3 years. So the way that you get your certificate at the end of trade school is you complete all your assignments. So you might have written assessments and practical assessments that you've got to pass to do it. So I don't really hear of many people failing. But you do, attendance is part of it, so you've got to turn up, all that sort of thing. Most apprentices you sort of start when you're around the 17 years, 18 years old range. Some do. Now it's quite common to find people starting a lot later in life.
So Gay, how did you get into gardening?
So I got into gardening. I think like most people would get into gardening, you show an interest as a young kid, kid age.
As you're growing up?
As you're growing up. I followed Dad around everywhere, and we had a little bit of property, not much, where we had to mow the lawns, you know, cut the trees. We cut down a couple of big trees, and that was when I was quite young, learning how to use a chainsaw, learning how to use a mower, learning how to use a brush cutter. Yeah, so Mum suggested that I get into gardening, and work outdoors at least. So I applied for gardening jobs, and my first gardening job it was quite a distance away from where I lived. It didn't last for very long, but yeah, I worked there as a labourer gardener, so you didn't need any qualifications, just mowing lawns, brush cutting, so I already knew how to do all that. Apprenticeship came up nearby to where I live, so I applied for that and was lucky enough to get that position, and that's where I stayed until the end of the apprenticeship. We get a lot of people saying, oh, how lucky you are to be gardeners. And yeah, we are lucky to work outdoors and things like that. I think a lot of people get started because they enjoy working outdoors. Working indoors is not for everybody, so, and yeah.
All right.
Anyway, we're going to wrap it up now. That's how we got into gardening. So if you've got any more questions for us, definitely leave them in the comments below. Give us a big like. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Hooroo!
And just to wrap it up, one final wrap up, wrap up number 2. Okay, wrap up number 2 is that in today's location we're filming on a river in country New South Wales. So we'll show you around. We've got a fisherman. I think there's a fisherman coming. Oh, he's parked up further. But this is our view from the video. So there's a little tiny houseboat straight ahead. This is the river. A little bit of national park on the other side. It's a bit crunchy underfoot. And then there's the fisherman. And just around the corner of that bend is the town centre. So it probably takes about 20-30 minutes to walk there. Yeah, that's it. People have been catching fish too, by the way. Anyway, that's a wrap. Thanks. Bye.